All right, welcome back. As promised, I'm joined now by Traci McCartney. Traci is one of my sisters at NFL Female, and as I mentioned, I'm so happy to have her on. This is her first time on my podcast, although we've done an NFL Female show together. So I'm going to let her introduce herself to you guys and tell you a little bit about her. So, Traci, thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm nervous but excited.
Well, I'm excited too, and there's no reason to be nervous. This is just a conversation, and I'm so thankful that you were able to find the time to do this, because I had been wanting to have Traci on the podcast, and I haven't really talked to the Patriots lately anyway, so this was a perfect time and opportunity, and fortunately we were able to make this happen. So were you a lifelong Patriots fan? Tell us how you came about following the Patriots.
I am a lifelong Patriots fan.
Oh.
My parents are both from Boston.
Okay.
And I grew up in Connecticut.
Ah.
So my grandfather had season tickets to the Patriots when I was young. And I think he sold them in the early 90s. So right before they actually did anything.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I've been a fan my whole life. I'm one of three girls, and my dad. I'm the oldest. My dad kind of. I was the one that went to baseball and football and hockey and basketball games with him. So we were always very big sports fans in our house.
Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, a lot of people forget before Bill Belichick, the Patriots didn't have a lot of success. They were actually pretty terrible, and
yes,
and they forget too, because a lot of fans are younger and kind of new, and Bill Belichick himself was a big, huge failure with the Cleveland Browns, and you don't really hear a lot about that because he has been with New England so long, and they have enjoyed so much success. And we're not going to talk about Deflategate or any of that, and maybe on another show, we might get an opportunity to talk about it. But we're going to talk about the playoffs. Speaking of success, once again in the playoffs, where the Patriots are always a force to be reckoned with. You can correct me if you don't agree with this. That's fine. In fact, I enjoy having people on who don't always agree with me. I don't think this is the strongest Patriots team that has entered the playoffs. It's not the same team that it was last year. There are a lot of injuries. We're going to talk about those injuries here in a moment. What is your sense? Do you think that this is kind of they dropped their last two games? Is this a little bit of a down team entering the playoffs?
Well, Norm, I would say yes, but we had a lot of injuries early in the season.
Yeah.
We lost our first running back, Dion Lewis, and then we lost Julian Edelman, who's a wide receiver. We lost Gronkowski. We've lost people on the offensive line. We've lost defensive players, linebackers, and safeties. It's been, I really am honestly very impressed with the coaching staff and what they've done with what we've had.
Yeah.
And we lost our last, I think it was 4 out of 6. So it was like we won 10, and then we went 4 and 6. So you could say, and the last game we lost to the Dolphins, which was not a good game. It was an interesting game plan, but but we're getting back a lot of players. So normally I would say we're limping into the playoffs because of what happened at the end of the season, but we're getting back a lot of players. We had a bye week to get healthy, so I'm optimistic.
Yeah,
but I agree with your assessment.
Yeah, they're fortunate to have that bye week to get healthier and to sort of catch their breath and recover from some of the things that happened toward the end of the season. We're recording this on Thursday night. The injury report today was rather lengthy. You mentioned Rob Gronkowski. Of course, everybody knows who he is and what he means to that team. And Julian Edelman, they've definitely missed him. What is the status of guys like him and Brandon LaFell and even Tom Brady's on the injury list? Give us and then we're going to have to talk a little bit about Chandler Jones, the very odd and weird situation with him.
Yes. Well, Tom and Brandon, they've been practicing regularly. Edelman's been practicing regularly. Gronkowski missed 2 days this week. He practiced Monday, but then they had full pad practice on Tuesday, and he didn't practice. And okay. I don't know if that's to try and protect him or he was limited in practice on Wednesday, and then today he was out of practice. He went to the hospital to have some treatment done on his knee. There have been conflicting reports as to whether or not he got injections in his knee, but
yeah, I saw that.
But I think that it's likely that he got some sort of injection of either stem cells or something to help with the pain and probably to try and speed the healing a little bit.
Yeah.
But I expect that he'll play, although they revised the injury list tonight. I don't know if you know about this, but he's now listed for not only a knee but a back injury, which is kind of concerning. I haven't heard any details about that at all. But
okay, that is interesting.
Yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, he didn't practice. Trey Jackson didn't practice. Several of the offensive tackles had limited practice. Tom Brady was a full practice. Certainly he's going to play, and there's not much question about that. Chandler Jones, help us make some. Maybe we can't make any sense of it, but let's try. Help us try to make some sense of it.
Well, when the reports first came out, somebody said he was at Gronk's house, and then he showed up at the police station in the morning, and he overdosed on drugs, and they took him to the hospital. As time went on, they got more details, and it turns out Gronk wasn't even home. He was with his mom in Florida.
Okay.
So he didn't get home until Sunday night. This happened Sunday morning.
Okay.
And I read the police reports, what little there is from the police reports, that he was at his house. He showed up in the back door of the police station. He didn't have on a shirt, and he had on a pair of shorts. And he went into the police station and said that he needed help. Somebody had told him to go to the police for help. I guess he lives near the police station in Foxborough. They called an ambulance. They took him to the hospital. What's been reported is that he was having a bad reaction to spice, which is synthetic marijuana.
Right.
It's not illegal. It's stupid, definitely stupid. But so I guess he went to the hospital and he was released, and he's been at practice and meetings, starting on Monday. He hasn't been absent at all. He's been participating in practice. So it wasn't an overdose, but he definitely had some kind of a bad reaction to whatever it was that he was smoking.
Yeah, that is odd, and it's definitely bad timing to be, engaging in that type of activity, with the. Now I know that they were on a bye and all of that, but you've got a big game coming up, and I don't want to sound all get off my lawn or anything, but
No, I am in total agreement with you.
You just got to get,
stupid.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy.
They
Very,
did
very,
talk to
very,
him today. He did
yeah.
talk to the media today, and he said, it's stupid. It was stupid what I
Mhm.
did, and I apologize. But that's pretty much all he would say. He didn't.
Right.
He kind of pulled a Belichick and just said, I'm focusing on Kansas City. No, that was pretty much it.
Very interesting. I certainly seems like he's going to play, and that's not going to be in question. Let's go ahead and talk about the Chiefs game. I have been saying, I don't remember if we had a chance to talk about that on the NFL female show that we were on together, but the Chiefs are hot. They're probably the hottest team in AFC right now. In the NFC, certainly it's the Seahawks. Not to discount what the Panthers have done by any means, but the Seahawks have been on fire here lately. But the Chiefs are playing, good football. They've won, I think, 11 in a row, and are, they're going into Foxborough and taking on the Patriots is always hard. But they're facing a Patriots team that, as we've mentioned, is banged up a little bit. Do you think, are you concerned about this game? Do you think that the Chiefs are built to come in there and win this game?
Well, I really think that the Chiefs are a very tough team, and Alex Smith is one of those guys where he is a scrambler. He'll kill you with his legs, and I've seen that many times. He's got 498 rushing yards this year. That's the fourth most for quarterbacks, and he's only behind like Cam Newton, Russell Wilson, and Tyrod Taylor. So, he is definitely a threat. Now, Jeremy Maclin is injured, and I think I read today he's going to be a game-time decision. He's their number one receiver, and I would be very worried about him. We have a pretty good secondary, although, you wouldn't know that by the way I yell at Logan Ryan during the game. But he's not that bad. He's actually gotten a lot better this year. So, I think there's always a deep threat here. I don't know. I don't know how. I think our defense is great. I have a lot of faith in our defense, and we're pretty much at full strength right now. A lot of it is going to depend on our offensive line and our ability to stop the run and ability to control Alex Smith when he gets out of the pocket or keeping him in the pocket. I think those are the big factors.
If there's one thing we've seen, not only in the NFL but in college, I don't know if you had a chance to check out the national championship game.
I did.
Such an exciting game. One thing that we've seen is that it is that teams, for whatever reason, have difficulty covering the tight end. And everyone knows how fantastic Rob Gronkowski is. Travis Kelce, we call him Baby Gronk. He's pretty good himself. Do you think that have the Patriots had difficulty covering the tight end? What do you think of that matchup?
Well, we've had a couple of our safeties that have been out. Our free safety, Devin McCourty, was out for a lot of the season. So he's back now. He played pretty well. So.
And he was a full go today. He practiced fully today, so that's good news.
Yep. So I'm hopeful, but we could have some difficulties there. He's an excellent player, and I would be worried about him. I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I didn't get a chance to check out every single Patriots game this year. I probably watched more of them last year. Jamie Collins and Dr. Hightower both I have seen. Jamie Collins more, I believe, than Hightower, covering tight ends. Both those guys are fantastic players. Big fan of Jamie Collins. Hightower's limited. Is he expected to play this weekend?
He is, yeah. He is expected to play. I haven't heard any different, so I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. They do a really good job with rotating out the linebackers, so it kind of gives them a little bit of a breather, I think, when they're rotating them in and out. And Gerard Mayo was out for some of the season, and he's back, so I think they're all playing. So
yeah, when they're healthy, they've got one of the best linebacking corps in the league, and those guys are fun to watch, and they're definitely have a solid rotation there. You mentioned Gerard Mayo. He's a former Tennessee guy. There's been some noise. I know you and I talked about this before.
Yep.
What's the latest on him? Is the team are they ready to move on or not? What's the status there?
I've not heard anything.
Okay.
I know he's a huge fan favorite. He's the players all love him. I just it's the business, so you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd love to keep him.
Yeah. If you had to pick a defensive MVP, who would it be?
Out of everybody
in
the league?
No. Out of the Patriots. I'm sorry.
Oh, for the Patriots. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say.
I mean, certainly it's Tom Brady on offense, right? There's no question there.
Yes, definitely. On defense, I don't know. It's hard because I think the linebackers are all amazing, and Rob Mankiewicz has been great this year. I don't think that his stats show how good he's been. Because he doesn't have a lot of interceptions or sacks, but he's been instrumental in a lot of batted balls at the line of scrimmage, a lot of hurrying the quarterback or hits on the quarterback. He's been pretty solid. So it's hard for me to say. I don't know.
It's a hard question. You're right. There's some good talent on that defense, and especially in the linebackers, and we've talked about all of them. Josh McDaniels, he's a guy. His name is being mentioned, possible head coaching candidate. The Titans may look at him with the hire of their new general manager and John Robinson. It was announced later, a little bit earlier this afternoon, Doug Peterson, who is the offensive coordinator for the Kansas City Chiefs. He is possibly going to be slated to take the Philadelphia Eagles head coaching job.
I heard that.
Do you think that those coaching moves, we've seen it before, do you think that is going to be a distraction for either one of those guys and possibly have an effect on the game?
I would hope not. I know that Josh said that he was not going to interview until after the playoffs, which, kind of puts him in a spot where, all the jobs could be gone. But I as a fan, I appreciate that he's going to be completely focused on the task at hand.
Yeah. I absolutely think that's the right move. I know some people would disagree, and he needs to be, thinking of himself and making moves for himself. But it is such a team game and such a team concept, and I do think that there is a distraction factor. There's no question. Yeah, there's no question in my mind, and I'm not suggesting that Coach Peterson did anything wrong here. I'm just saying I think the better path is to not take those interviews, to say if you're interested in me, you can wait until the playoffs are over or we're eliminated or what have you. It's so weird. A lot of times I think teams just, I don't want to say panic, but we saw this with the Titans when, they made their last coaching hire. There were some big names that were coaching in the playoffs, and they didn't take the time or the opportunity to wait around. And, it doesn't look like teams are doing that this year either, although, with the Eagles, they did managed to land a coach that's still coaching in the playoffs. Chip, let's talk about coaching changes since we're already just sort of discussing it. Chip Kelly to the San Francisco 49ers. Do you like that move?
Well, I'm not a huge Chip Kelly fan, so I'm just not sure if he's really. I don't want to say cut out, but I don't know if he is a good fit for NFL coaching.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think he's suited for the National Football League. I'll just go ahead and
I don't either.
Yeah.
We'll see. I mean, we'll see what happens. San Francisco interviewed, or were interested in a laundry list of people, and they finally said, I guess it was today, we're going to go with Chip Kelly. He doesn't have any personnel control, which is very good.
Yes.
Because I think that was a big problem in Philadelphia. I think the fans were, and probably some in the organization were kind of like confused as to what he was doing. I don't know. I think that Seahawks fans are absolutely thrilled because most of them are. I think I talked to Dana about this. Most of them are UW fans, and of course he was the coach at Oregon, and he had a little bit of a reputation for being a little bit arrogant. And I think they're chomping at the bit to take him on in that division. So it'll be interesting. I will have my popcorn ready.
Yes, it's very interesting, and it's even more interesting that Hugh Jackson, another offensive coordinator who is a hot commodity and, linked to that 49ers job, he chose the Cleveland Browns over the 49ers and the New York Giants. And that, to me, was, I'll go ahead and say it, it was a surprising decision to me.
I agree. I think, I don't know, maybe he thought this is going to be a bigger challenge. Maybe he finds the fact that he's going to be reporting directly to the owner. Maybe he finds that appealing. He's going to be going right to Jimmy Haslam. He's got his ear. I've heard, although I don't know how true it is, that part of the deal was that they were going to move on from Johnny Manziel, which does not surprise me. So I think it'll be interesting to see how he fits in, especially with all the analytics stuff they're going to be implementing. It'll be interesting. Maybe he feels like this is a good challenge for him.
I'm a big fan of Hugh Jackson. I did not think that he called a very good game in that Bengals loss to the Steelers. Although, in retrospect, they would have won the game if their defense hadn't imploded and, basically handed the field goal to the Steelers, at the end with all the shenanigans that, that transpired there. And we're not going to talk about that. I've had an opportunity to sit down with Josh Taylor, who covers the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we're playing his interview on this podcast, and he and I really talked about that. Did you think, I will ask you this, though, what did you think about the suspension for Vontaze Burfict? Did you think it was appropriate?
I didn't think it was enough.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I was expecting at least 4 games.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, that was, it was clearly targeting. I think it was an extremely dangerous hit. You're hitting someone with the possibility of taking away their livelihood. And as a Patriots fan, it hits home with me because of Darryl Stingley, which is something I'll never forget, and I'll probably I may never forgive the Raiders for that, and that was passed down to me from my grandmother, who was screaming at the top of her lungs when that happened. It was a horrible, horrible thing. I remember being, young, fairly young, and seeing somebody out on the field like that after a hit like that, not moving, is scary.
It's very scary.
It's the NFL's put all these rules into place try and make the game more safe, and it's just that kind of a his. I don't know. It's I'll tell you what.
There were a lot
sitting on the bench.
Yeah. There were a lot of moving pieces going on toward the end of that game, and in that play and the previous play. The Steelers very wisely were like, let's just get the points and try and get out of here without any more of our players getting killed out here. And I think that was a wise move. It was just a bad look for the league, in my opinion, and I did not think that the officials did enough. People disagree with me on that, and Josh had Josh had some interesting comments on that. I guess looking in hindsight, it's always easy to point fingers like that. I don't know. The deal with Tom Coughlin was really weird. He was widely reported to be taking the Philadelphia Eagles job, and then he pulled his name out of the hat. Did you find that as weird as I did?
I did, and I read that it was because he didn't feel that the staff was right for him.
Mm.
So that to me is like, I don't know if it was the coaching staff or if he's thinking about the players, or just maybe the culture didn't feel right to him when he went to the
You would think they would let him bring his own staff in. That's pretty odd. Everything that the Giants have done is odd to me. Firing Tom Coughlin, keeping Jerry Reese, who is not particularly good as a general manager, has not been good with bringing in sufficient talent, in my opinion. And then they hired a guy that I'm familiar with, having come from the Green Bay Packers, in Ben McAdoo, a guy whose offensive system really hasn't been proven to be all that successful in the National Football League. I think it's a huge mistake. I'm going on record saying it's a huge mistake. He's not ready to be a head coach. What do you think of it?
I completely agree with you. I think the reason they did it was for some kind of consistency with Eli. He is, he's their man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the last time they brought in a new offensive coordinator, I don't think he did very well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it takes him a while to get used to a new system. And so I think that they're probably...
Yeah, it was him. It was Ben McAdoo. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think they're probably trying to, keep something, for Eli that's familiar.
Mm-hmm.
But I agree with you. I don't particularly think that he's ready to be a head coach. So, I don't know. And the Buccaneers did the same thing. They also promoted their offensive coordinator.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know. I thought that their firing of Lovie Smith was premature.
It was done. Regardless of the move, I thought that it was done in the most classless fashion possible.
Yeah. I just, the guy's been there 2 years. He came in with nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And, then he gets a rookie quarterback his second year. And I don't think they did. I think they were starting to get better.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I thought that was the wrong move. And now they've promoted their offensive coordinator to head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's going to be another tough year for Buccaneer fans.
I hope so. I want to see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers fail miserably. You know what? You can think whatever you want to think. I do not care. I hope they fail miserably. NFL relocation, let's touch upon that, and then I'll let you get out of here. The big news, I feel, and I know people are like, well, the Los Angeles, they're getting their team back. One wrong, two wrongs don't make a right. That's what I'm trying to say. And, these NFL teams with their money grabs and ripping these teams away from their fan bases, It's just such a bad look, in my opinion. How do you feel about it?
Oh, I have so much to say on this. My husband has been a San Diego Charger fan since 1961. He was born and raised in San Diego. Mm-hmm. And this has been a huge topic in our household. It's absolutely killing him, and it makes me really angry.
It does me too.
Oh, just makes me angry. I mean, I understand that, they want to put a team in LA because LA is this huge market. Well, they've had 2 teams that failed, actually 3 teams. The Chargers were there for a year. They left to San Diego. Then they had the Rams and the Raiders, and they both left. So now you have Stan Kroenke, who's just decided that he's going to take his ball and go and play in another park. And so Dean Spanos, who has inherited the San Diego Chargers from his father, is not a good businessman. He's not well liked.
Didn't he marry into money?
No, he is the son of. Stan Kroenke is the son-in-law of Sam Walton, the Walmart.
Yes, okay.
And so he, when they were talking about putting a team in LA, and Dean Spanos approached Kroenke and said, there's land up there that they wanted to, that they were talking about building a stadium on. So he approached him to go in on it, and then Kroenke went ahead and bought the land and never returned any of Spanos' calls. So now we have this situation where the committee votes 5-1 to approve the Chargers and the Raiders to move to LA at a site in Carson, and then Kroenke comes in with his proposal to move to Inglewood, and in the blind vote, the owners all approve for Kroenke to move 30-2. So Dean Spanos and Mark Davis, who thought they had a lock on the move, were completely blindsided. So now, anybody who says that it's not a money business, that the NFL cares about their fans, the owners care about the fans, it's just not true. And this is a perfect example of a whole bunch of, now the Rams fans in St. Louis are getting their team ripped away from them, and they're in mourning.
I know, it's so awful.
Fans and the Charger fans who are still being tortured because they still don't know what happened to their team.
No. And the Raiders, too. I mean, it is absolutely...
It's horrible.
It's absolutely insane. I completely agree with everything that you just said. I think it's such a terrible look for the NFL, and it's really it's not shocking to me. I already knew that greed, was the order of the day there, but I think that it is eye-opening for a lot of people who maybe didn't have their eyes already open. Before you get out of it, and I meant to do this, and we somehow got sidetracked. I meant to touch on the other games of the weekend. We talked about Chiefs Patriots. I'm not going to ask you to do a prediction. I think that we covered everything there. Let's talk a little bit about Steelers Broncos. This is going to be a good game. We still don't know. Antonio Brown is probably not going to play. I think we can pretty much say that he's not going to play. D'Angelo Williams, very much a question mark. It's probably going to be a game-time decision for him. From what I understand, he's still in the boot. Ben Roethlisberger, his status is up in the air. If they don't at least get one of those guys back, it's going to be very difficult for the Steelers to go to Mile High Stadium and beat the Broncos, even though Peyton Manning's not the same Peyton Manning, and even though their defense is kind of faded down the stretch. Do you agree or disagree?
Absolutely agree. I think that the Steelers were having a hard time anyway, without, with really no, with no Le'Veon Bell, and then with Antonio Brown getting hurt, he's been hurt on and off. Ed's been hurt on and off. It's I think Mile High is a hard place to play.
It is.
And to go in there, and the Broncos are, they're at their full strength. I think everybody's healthy. And yes, even though Peyton is not the Peyton of old, don't count him out.
Exactly.
I guarantee you, if at least one of those players on the Steelers doesn't come back, it's not going to be pretty. I think that's my prediction.
Yeah. No, it would be. Josh and I had a chance to talk about this. It's hard for first-year quarterbacks, or quarterbacks who are, and he's not a first year, but it would be his first time, really starting a game in the playoffs, and having that playoff experience is invaluable.
Oh yeah, I mean, all of the teams that lost last weekend, I think they were all first time in the playoffs.
Yes, they were.
It does make a difference. The playoffs is a different animal.
Yeah, a lot was made about all of the home teams lost last weekend. I still think the home field advantage is extremely important, and certainly having that bye week is important. And just in looking at, to me, the only game, Seahawks-Panthers, I think that's a game. The Patriots, they should win. Possibly win at home, but I think that they're going to have a tough time with the Chiefs. I think it's going to be a very close game. The other home game that I think is going to be probably the closest is Panthers-Seahawks. Give me your thoughts on that matchup.
I agree. I haven't had a chance to see the Panthers play much at all this year, but
You don't start out 13-0 and not be a good team, right?
And Luke Kuechly is amazing. I mean, he is amazing. He's great.
Yeah, he's
fun. And Cam certainly can get the job done when he has to get the job done. I mean, he's a scrambler. He's able to get that. I mean, what I have seen of him, I've seen some passes, or, and some plays that should never have happened happen. And I don't know if it's like some kind of luck going on there along with his talent, or I don't know what it is, but
he's just a special player. He is.
He is.
Yeah, he's.
I don't know. But then Seattle's really coming on strong, so I think it'll be a good game. I think you're right.
Who do you think is going to win? Give me your prediction on that one.
I think it's going to be the Seahawks. Please don't shoot me, Panthers fans.
No, please don't. Well, I've kind of migrated toward being more of a. I've always followed them and watched them. To me, they were kind of back when the Titans used to be good and used to know who they were. They were kind of the NFC version of what the Titans did, and so I kind of have always followed them. I still think the Panthers are going to win, but I think it's a very, very tough matchup. The other NFC game, Packers-Cardinals, the last time these two teams met, it was very much a lopsided victory in favor of the Cardinals. I don't think it's going to be that close this time, but I do think the Cardinals are going to win. Give me your prediction.
I do as well. I also think the Cardinals are going to win this game. They're playing at home.
Yeah. Carson
They've
Palmer.
been great all year.
Carson Palmer.
Yep.
Having such a great year, and they've got some exciting young talent, and of course you cannot discount how great Larry Fitzgerald has been for so long, and their defense is strong, and they're deep. They're a pretty deep football team, and I just love Uncle Bruce. I'm a big fan of Bruce Arians, and think he's done a fantastic job with that team.
I agree completely.
Yeah. Do you want to give me a Super Bowl prediction, or do you want to not jinx it?
I can't jinx it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I can't.
No, I don't blame you.
If the Broncos win this weekend and we win, we have to go back to Denver to play them, and that's going to be tough. But first we got to get past Kansas City.
Yeah, a lot of people are rooting for that. One last time. It's probably, if it happens, it seems fairly certain that it's probably the last time that you're going to see Tom Brady and Peyton Manning square off against each other. It would be a great story. I agree. I guess we'll see. Traci, thank you so much for joining me. Tell everybody out there where they can find you. And I know that you haven't been able to write nearly as much as you've been wanting to. Are you back writing again yet?
I will be. After this weekend, I will be writing kind of an end-of-the-year wrap-up and a recap of the divisional game. So.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I keep saying the same thing. I didn't get a chance to write as much in 2015 as I wanted to, but after this next Monday, I should be back in business as well. Tell everybody where they can find you on social media.
You can find me at Traci, TRACIAMC on Twitter.
All right. Well, we'll definitely tweet out your information. And thanks again. I really do appreciate you joining me. And have a great night.
Thanks so much for having me. You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.